Ce suit une aventure dramatique. Les choix que vous ferez détermineront les relations d'après. Ça part mal aussi, le... Il y avait 2 mots de collés. J'ai peur. Par Dramatic Labs.
Captain's log, stardate 57931.4. The crew is restless.
Désolé, sinon vous voyez pas les sous-titres.
Piecing our ship back together, we're finally about to venture out on a new mission. And the crew isn't letting this unprecedented ion storm slow them down. They're ready for something different. I know I am. Perhaps more than any of them. Fortunately, nothing ever stays the same. It's entropy, the nature of the universe. Change is inevitable. And while entropy says order gives way to chaos, in this case, change is good. Our new first officer is en route to the Resolute. Jara Rydek. I know she'll bring a welcome dose of new blood to the crew.
Ah, petit orage magnétique. Ou plasmatique, c'est vert. Oh putain, il y a déjà des QTE.
Thanks.
No problem.
I'm not great with flying. But these little shuttles are the worst.
You don't like flying. And yet, you joined Starfleet.
There's a reason I'm not a pilot.
You should try it sometime.
Sorry, I'm a little anxious.
I hadn't noticed.
I'm on my way to my first assignment. When we get to the starbase, I'm transferring on to the Resolute.
So am I.
It won't be easy for Jara to step in at the 11th hour like this. But if she's half the officer I knew she could become when she was a cadet at Starfleet Academy, she'll be the XO this ship needs right now.
StarTrek, Resurgence. Ta-da-da. C'est vraiment l'univers de Star Trek. Je suis un tout petit peu déçu par les graphismes, mais on va pas leur en demander trop, je crois que c'est à moitié indépendant. Après, le jeu a de très bonnes notes. J'aime bien les graphismes, mais ouais, c'est pas les meilleurs actuellement. Après, tu sais, il y a tous les graphismes possibles. Les graphismes me font penser un tout petit peu aux Sims. Un tout petit peu, parce que j'ai vu des let's play là, d'Antoine Daniel sur les Sims 4. Ça me fait penser un tout petit peu aux Sims, mais c'est quand même plus beau que certains trucs. On va pas se mentir, il y a quand même des trucs où de temps en temps tu te dis ah, vous auriez peut-être pu faire mieux. Après là on est sur un jeu 3D, on est sur une licence, je crois pas avoir déjà vu un jeu Star Trek à ce point abouti. En fait j'ai jamais joué à un jeu Star Trek, je sais qu'il en existe mais je sais pas à quel point. Donc on va se mettre en QWERTY et on va y aller. Oula. Il y a eu un coup de lag. Surtout Knilohead, vu que tu es là, si jamais tu vois que la caméra freeze ou lag, tu m'envoies n'importe quel son, même un c'est l'heure de sauvegarder ce que tu veux, pour me dire caméra. Je vais peut-être faire un son d'ailleurs, caméra freeze ou un truc comme ça,
A starbase on the very edge of Federation space.
Bref.
Long way from home now.
Ok. Starbase 128. Starfleet, opération de support, ouais, de support. Par contre, ils y sont allés, hein, avec le... Oh putain, la D... la DA derrière. La vache.
Commander? I'm not usually such a nervous wreck, by the way. I actually did well at the Academy.
Oh yeah?
Maybe you've heard of the Torvalin test?
Sounds familiar.
It's a tactical simulator that makes the Kobayashi Maru look like a picnic on Pintaris 5. Anyway, I finished in the top 20. Not just in my class. I mean, all time. In the history of the Academy. So, there's that.
Really? That's quite impressive.
Thank you. It was tough. But you know, I set my mind to it and it paid off.
On va pas lui dire que... Tu devrais faire un son, il y a un souci, regarde le chat. Oui, je vais peut-être faire un truc comme ça. Putain. Ah, le lag. Gérard Heidek.
You're Jara Rydek? You absolutely crushed the Torvalin test. You finished in what, like the top 3?
That would be me.
Now I'm really... It's an honor to meet you, Commander. Sorry, I didn't realize before. I just came off the shuttle and was glad to be on solid ground, so to speak.
When people say top 3, what they really mean is 3rd place. I'm not first, so there's always room for improvement.
I'll keep working then.
Je sais pas si c'était la meilleure réponse.
He's in the concourse just ahead.
See you on the Resolute.
Alors, juste pour le lore, rapidement. Il y a des... Là, il l'a appelé Commander. Il l'a su parce qu'elle a 3 boutons au niveau de la collerette. Lui, il en a un, donc ça doit être juste vraiment une recrue de base. Et le 2, je sais plus ce que c'est, 2. Mais voilà. Putain, c'est vraiment du Starfleet. Oh là! Oh, qu'est-ce que c'est que cette démarche pour courir? Qu'est-ce que c'est? Pourquoi tu roules du cul, meuf? Dung, dung, dung. Alors, je sais que c'est l'espace, mais tout de même.
If I remember my briefing, Commander Ermont is a Bolian, so I'm looking for someone with blue skin.
Ok, bon bah il est là-bas. J'ai pas retenu le nom de sa race. De son espèce, on va dire, parce que sinon...
Starbase 128 has 4 docks.
Ok. Je sais pas si c'est important, mais on va dire oui. De repas repliqué, d'accord.
I'll replicate myself a meal once I'm on board. Excuse me.
Est-ce qu'on peut voir d'autres trucs avant de... Donc ça, c'est un synthétiseur. Je crois que c'est synthétiseur, j'ai un doute. C'est un truc pour faire apparaître de la... Comment ça s'appelle de la nourriture et de l'eau, du thé, tout ce que tu veux. Tu viens devant et tu dis « Thé chaud, noir, sans sucre ». Et le machin, il te fait apparaître la tasse et le thé. C'est pratique. J'aimerais bien avoir ça chez moi.
Welcome to the edge of the galaxy, Commander Rydek. I'm Commander Jan Ermont, Operations Officer on the Resolute.
Ok.
Commander?
Alors, je sais...
I hope there wasn't too much trouble.
Je dirai juste ça après.
This storm isn't making anything easy for us right now. I know conditions are less than ideal at the moment.
It was perfectly fine. No trouble at all.
I'm glad to hear it. We're grateful you were able to come fill our first officer vacancy at such short notice. From everything I've read and
Premier
everything
officier,
I've
la
heard,
vache.
we're lucky you were available to us. Coming from a premier starship and all. To our little research vessel.
What exactly have you heard about me?
First in your class at the Academy. Received the Starfleet Award of Valor during the Dominion War.
Oh.
Most recently, Tactical Officer and Chief of Security on the USS Endeavor.
You've done your homework.
Like I said, we're very lucky.
Ok.
The USS Resolute. She may not look like much compared to the bigger ships, but as far as science vessels go, she can more than hold her own. And she doesn't look so bad considering 6 months ago she was nearly cracked in half venting plasma fighting for her life.
It was an accident?
The equipment malfunction. An accident suggests fault, but no one's to blame.
On
It
est
was a
dessus.
planned test, but the warp core was pushed beyond its limits. It destabilized the dilithium, there was a runaway reaction, and the warp bubble deformed. We thought we could reach a higher resonant frequency, but it was more than she could handle. Cost us our first officer and 22 of our crew. At the end of the
Okay.
day, we're all responsible for each other. That's what it means to be a crew.
I can't even begin to imagine what that must have been like for you. I'm so sorry for your loss.
Thank you. It does weigh heavy. There are some things you can't forget.
It's been 6 months. What's the attitude among the crew now?
Unsettled. But I hope that a new mission will help them move forward. If not, move on.
Ok.
Listen. I realize you've known Captain Solana for quite some time, and I'm sure you're ready to bring your best. But I should warn you that when the captain announced you would be the new first officer, there were those who felt it was a mistake, that he should have promoted from within. So you might want to tread lightly at first. Until they come to value your contributions as much as he does.
Thank you. Always good to have a sense for what you're walking into.
I just thought you ought to know.
I appreciate it.
Starfleet has assigned us a high-priority mission to the Hotari region. I'll let the captain brief you on board. I know he's eager to see you.
Will we be mission ready in time?
We have every intention. The crew has been working around the clock to get the ship ready. There's still so much to do.
Ok. Oh là, ça va vraiment... On va vraiment contrôler plusieurs persos? Oh.
Stuck.
Ils sont déconnés, t'as
I got just a thing.
un... C'est quoi ça, torche plasma? Recoupleur au ADN, non. Et c'est quoi? Clé modulaire et... Clé à bobine interphasée. C'est quoi ce machin? Torche à plasma, la torche à plasma ça serait peut-être mieux. Par contre en vrai les graphismes ça va mal et les animations sont moins belles mais ça reste correct. Oui ça reste correct. Les boutons indiquent le niveau mais la couleur aussi. Alors oui c'est ça que je voulais dire. En fait l'école c'est comme dans la plupart des séries un peu de cette époque là. C'est StarTrek qui a lancé ça de mémoire. La couleur au niveau des maillots. Si tu regardes un jour un épisode de Stargate ou un truc comme ça qui passe à la télé ou je sais pas sur une plateforme annexe, sur les séries tu vas avoir des couleurs. Donc le rouge généralement c'est le commandement, le jaune c'est tout ce qui va être service technique, bleu c'est les médecins et vert c'est... Alors vert je sais pas s'il y a dans Star Trek, je sais qu'il y avait dans Stargate. Vert, ça va être la maintenance, ça va être un autre truc de maintenance. Enfin, la maintenance générale, quand même, c'est les techniciens, c'est les jaunes. Le vert, je sais plus ce qu'ils font. Mais généralement, il y a 3 couleurs quand même de base. T'as rouge, c'est la sécurité. Jaune, dans Star Trek, je parle. Rouge, c'est la sécurité ou l'administratif ou l'administration. Voilà, les big boss, quoi. En gros, ceux qui gèrent tout. rouge administration, vert, jaune, tous les mecs qui font justement du bidouillage, service technique, entretien, vraiment des composants, etc., manutention. Et bleu, c'est les médecins. Et dans Stargate, il y a les noirs aussi, et les noirs, c'est les militaires. Mais ici, dans Star Trek, il n'y a pas normalement de collerette noire. C'est que rouge, jaune, bleu, et s'il y a vert, je sais plus ce que c'est, mais c'est un truc qu'on voit quasiment rarement. Je crois pas qu'il y ait vert dans Star Trek, de mémoire. Donc voilà, la catégorie par la collerette, la catégorie par la couleur de la collerette, et le grade par les petits points sur le cou. Je pense que la torche à plasma serait pas mal pour déjà découper le... Voilà, découper ce truc-là. Alors, d'accord. Ok, oula, d'accord. Bon choix, la torche à plasma. Ok. Nickel. C'est pas forcément des outils qu'on voit dans la série, ceux-là, mais c'est logique pour quelqu'un qui connaît bien la SF. C'est à peu près logique. Après, tu peux avoir des subtilités, mais... Alors, ça va être un truc très QTE, hein.
Is that?
Et pont inférieur, d'accord. L'autre, ils sont carrément sur la carlingue du vaisseau, au calme, comme ça. Nickel.
I thought that thing was totally fried.
Oh! Ça, c'est un personnage qui a normalement un parasite et ils sont deux dans le même corps de mémoire, je crois.
And not a moment too soon. The boss wants us down in engineering. Like, now.
Après, il y a différentes races, différentes catégories de personnages. Ça, c'est un téléporteur. Est-ce qu'on va le voir marcher ou pas?
Hey Diaz, can you give us some help with the transporter?
What's the problem?
We need to test this cargo transporter. I've never been that great with the signal plotting.
I got it. No problem.
Ok. Alors, sélectionnez les points de passage pour créer un chemin à travers les interférences uniques. La ligne qui relie les points perdra de sa puissance si elle traverse des interférences. La flèche jaune indique la stabilité de votre itinéraire. Surveillez-la bien. Utilisez la souris pour viser et maintenez clic gauche pour sélectionner et déplacer les points de passage. Ok.
Come on.
Alors. Je sais pas trop où il voulait aller, Marcel, mais on va l'emmener là.
No sweat. Whoa, hey, buddy, get off the pad!
Carter Diaz.
Le blocage. Oups. Ah.
Don't tell Chovak.
Not a word.
Hurry up.
Je l'ai envoyé dans la salle à côté. Ok, j'ai envoyé le... Ok, c'était peut-être un test, j'en sais rien. C'est quoi ce machin? Une sonde, ok. Si tu l'as fait tomber, mec.
Time's a wasting.
Oh, these are heavier than they look. Makes more sense than zero G. You're welcome.
Il y en a une autre à monter ou pas? Deuxième
So
sonde.
clean I can see myself. And you know what? Not half bad.
Ah, il se regarde juste dans le truc, ok. Il n'y a rien d'autre, l'hôtel m'attend. On va checker quand même un petit peu ce qui se passe. conteneur de cargaison.
Place for everything, and everything in its place.
Ok, t'es un peu maniaque, mec. Qu'est-ce qu'il me raconte, Marcel? Elle me raconte rien. C'est Marcel là, il me raconte quelque chose, oui.
Hey Diaz, have you seen a hyperspanner around here?
Une clé modulaire dans le
Last saw
coin.
it near the shuttle, Ptarmigan.
I'll
Ouais,
let you know.
ça j'ai vu ça tout à l'heure. Et là la clé modulaire. Non, c'est pas celle-là?
Everything okay?
I dropped a non-ferrous connector between the coils. Gonna have to remove a few of them to find it, and then...
Whew, then another hour of recalibrating. Ouch. I'll leave you to it.
Qu'est-ce qu'elle est cette clé? T'as pas vu une clé, Marcel? Non? Elle est peut-être sur les boîtes. Une connerie, non? Ou peut-être qu'il n'y a rien. Peut-être dans la navette. Je sais pas s'il faut vraiment qu'on la trouve en fait.
Diaz, you're in my light.
Oh, sorry.
Ok. Il faut vraiment que je te trouve quelque chose, meuf, ou pas?
Hey Diaz, have you seen a hyperspanner around
Clé
here?
modulaire dans le coin.
I last saw it near the shuttle,
C'était près de la
Ptarmigan.
navette.
I'll let you know.
Partmigan? Oh. Et où Partmigan? Baffine. Melville. C'est là la Partmigan, non? Ah, elle est là, d'accord.
That's not where that goes.
Ah, c'est pas celle-là? Si.
Maybe we could figure out where you're supposed to be.
Ok.
Oh, hey, there it is. You're a lifesaver, Diaz.
Well, I don't know about that, but I try.
Ok. Bon, je pense qu'on a tout fait dans la zone. On va aller dire bonjour à l'autre qui nous attend. C'est vraiment molletonné, hein. Je peux aller par là où elle va me dire de venir.
New computer reroutes.
So then,
I'm thinking we'll have to do the work in that tube, then take the turbo lift from section 2 to section 3.
wait, there's a subfloor crossover around.
Ok.
Engineering.
I heard the new XO just arrived. Won't be long before we get underway. I just hope whatever Chovok called us down for, it's something good. I can never tell with him. I'd rather not end up degaussing plasma manifolds. Hanging upside down makes me queasy.
Orders are orders, Nilly. You know what they say? There are no small missions. Every expedition has a purpose.
Even if we don't know what it is yet. Looks like we got here before.
Lieutenant Commander Chovok.
We were just looking for you, Commander.
Petty Officers Ed Solar, Diaz. I was beginning to think you would be late. We are all hands on deck right now, which means if you are not at your post at the appointed time, I do not have someone to replace you. A point I have been forced to make to Petty Officer Edsolar on repeated occasions.
Well, Commander Chovok, isn't it true that if we were almost late, it categorically means that we were not late?
That is correct, Mr. Diaz.
I mean, if anything, Ed Solar and I are following the schedule to the letter.
Yes, perhaps I should adjust the schedule accordingly.
So, I don't suppose you wanted us down here to check in before we go off duty?
Equip yourselves in EV suits to work on the exterior of the hull. I need you to tune the structural integrity field for optimal performance. The subspace distortions and ionic interference we are experiencing are preventing the proper calibration. But this ship must be ready to depart shortly, despite the storm. precise nature of these disturbances are not fully understood. But many systems have been affected by the wide band of emissive activity.
How concerned should we be about the storm? Are you worried?
Vulcans do not worry. We calculate the variables and take appropriate precautions to mitigate the risk.
Certes.
Right now, that entails making critical preparations, because long-range sensors show that these disturbances will be more severe at our destination, the Hotari system.
Ok.
You have your orders. Do not delay.
Yes, Commander
Roger that.
Chovak. All hands on deck.
Ah vache, ça
What's
s'enchaîne.
that?
All hands on deck. That's what Chovak said. You know what that means? It means this ship isn't ready to go out and the brass know it. So they're throwing every warm body at it. And they're going to leave on schedule.
It all comes down to us, Nilly. We're the ones who will get it ready.
I know what we can do. But this isn't just any old refit or any old relaunch.
Oh, whoa. Excuse me.
A lot of new faces coming on board. It's gotta be tough coming as a replacement. That's for sure.
They seem all right. Something that happened 6 months ago while they were off on another ship? Well, that's nothing to hold against them.
Yeah, you're right. I guess getting a little new blood on board doesn't hurt. Hold on. Now there's an old face I didn't expect to see again. Hey, Miranda!
You weren't gonna leave without me, were you?
Miranda, you're here?
We thought you were staying on the Adirondack.
Transfer came in at the last minute, so I figured I'd slum it on this bucket of bolts. Looks like you got her back together pretty nicely. I wasn't sure what to expect.
Don't talk badly about one of the best ships in all of Starfleet.
We've rebuilt enough of her by now. She better be one of the best.
We'll see about
La
that.
fille en plein centre, elle fait moins réelle que les autres.
I am glad to be here.
J'ai l'impression qu'elle a une tête qui est 2 fois plus grosse, alors peut-être que c'est le plan qui
Don't
fait
think
ça.
I forgot.
Oh yeah, it's coming back to me now.
Maybe Carter can rustle up that bottle and we can give you a proper welcome. As soon as we wrap up this quick little spacewalk.
Ok. Ok, d'accord.
Here, let me help you.
Thanks.
So what's the word? Are you back in the security rotation?
Yep. Still running with the usual suspects.
Whoa.
Good to go.
Quand tu as mis, j'ai vu une scène, mais je sais pas si ça vient de
See you on the other
StarTrek.
side.
Et on voit des aliens fumer
Activating magnetic
un mec de cigarette. Non, ça c'est pas Star Trek. Star Trek c'est vraiment très comment dire safe, on va dire. Il n'y a pas alors les 2-3 séries qui sont sorties, je crois qu'il y a 2 séries différentes, non peut-être 3 séries différentes qui sont sorties récemment sur Paramount et sur Prime. Celles-là, elles sont un peu différentes, mais toutes les séries qu'il y a avant, c'est vraiment family, friendly. Il y a rien de gore, de malsain, même Stargate. C'est vraiment n'importe... Un gamin peut regarder... Enfin, peut-être pas un gamin, mais disons que... Voilà, Star Trek c'est vraiment safe. Stargate, on va dire que c'est un tout petit peu plus violent parce qu'il y a des vraies armes à feu et qu'ils tirent et que t'as des mecs qui se font toucher, qui sont vraiment morts, tu vois, où tu vois un peu de temps en temps que ça explose. Mais en vrai, il n'y a pas de sang dans Stargate. Dans Star Trek, il n'y a pas de sang du tout. Et la majorité du temps, ils se font comment ça s'appelle, Stone, ils se font paralyser. Voilà, donc quand les mecs quand ils tirent avec des armes, c'est de la paralysie. Stargate, ça va être des militaires qui découvrent l'univers. Star Trek, ce sont des scientifiques qui découvrent l'univers. Donc quand tu as un affrontement, l'affrontement en général, il est gentil, c'est vraiment l'humanité découvre l'univers et il va en mode explorateur sans avoir la moindre envie d'aller buter des gens. Après, oui, tu peux avoir quand même des guerres, tu peux avoir quand même des affrontements de vaisseaux spatiaux, ce genre de choses, mais de base, les personnages sont pas des militaires, ils sont juste là pour... Enfin, techniquement, dans le lore, c'est des militaires, mais en vrai, c'est plus des scientifiques que des militaires. S'ils peuvent se téléporter, pourquoi ils n'y vont pas juste comme ça? Parce que tu te téléportes pas sur de longues distances. Le téléporteur, il a besoin d'un endroit pour se téléporter. Tu peux envoyer des gens sur une planète en disant je cible cet endroit-là pour me téléporter, de mémoire. Mais après, tu dois avoir un badge pour t'envoyer à l'endroit où te récupérer. Tu vois, c'est comme un appel téléphonique. Tu peux envoyer un appel téléphonique qui va arriver. Non, pas comme un appel téléphonique. Comment on pourrait. Comme la pêche. D'un hameçon, t'envoies ton hameçon quelque part, t'attends que ça morde, et que ça mord, et une fois que ça a mordu, tu peux récupérer ton hameçon. Bah là, c'est un peu le même principe. Soit c'est un appel téléphonique de zone à zone, c'est-à-dire de deux téléporteurs qui sont proches, qui peuvent se téléporter d'un point A à un point B, soit ça va être d'un téléporteur comme une canne à pêche qui envoie quelqu'un sur la planète. Mais après, si jamais t'avais un poisson qui mordait et que le poisson il se barre, bah s'il n'a pas de détecteur, on va dire, tu pourras pas aller récupérer ton poisson. C'est un peu, on va dire que c'est un peu comme la pêche. Donc ils peuvent pas se téléporter comme ça. Il faut qu'on puisse les localiser. Et généralement, on les localise grâce au petit écusson qu'il y a ici. Généralement, il y a un comment ça s'appelle, un transpondeur qui permet de les localiser. Ah non! Alors.
That view never gets old.
Let's go.
Par contre, ils y sont allés quand même un peu fort avec l'orage plasmatique là derrière. Peut-être un peu coloré quand même. Alors, est-ce qu'on va voir le médecin? Parce qu'il y a souvent un truc avec un médecin. Parce que là, on a vu la sécurité. Ah, on va voir carrément le capitaine, d'accord. Non, pas le capitaine. À tout l'équipage.
Captain Solano should be here momentarily.
Ok. Donc là, nous, on est numéro 1, techniquement, en français. On est le bras droit du capitaine, si j'ai bien compris. Ah,
You'll
ça
have
c'est
to
nouveau.
forgive me, I don't know much about Kobleods. But my understanding is you need a steady supply of duridium to keep your cell structure stabilized, or bad things start to happen. And we have plenty of duridium in sickbay, so there's no risk of running out.
Thank you.
Feel
Ok,
free to
donc on
make
est
yourself at
malade.
home. And help yourself to whatever you like from the replicator.
Alors, qu'est-ce que c'est que cette chose? C'est une jolie pierre. Minerai.
The first mineral Captain Solano ever discovered. Always was the nostalgic type.
Donc c'est un homme. Ok.
I can't believe he keeps this around. Don't even know where mine is.
Du coup, ils doivent avoir une médecine de malade. Ils sont capables de prendre l'apparence d'autres espèces. Si un humain veut avoir la tête de elle, ou du mec en bleu, bah dans certaines... Alors c'est pas dans tous les Star Trek, mais dans certains... parce que ça se passe à des périodes différentes généralement. Parfois, comment ça s'appelle, séparés d'un siècle ou deux, ça dépend les séries. Ils peuvent vraiment s'injecter un produit et ils ont les oreilles qui poussent en mode vulcain ou voilà. C'est C'est pratique, ouais.
He's still got a thing for trains.
Après, il y a toujours des maladies qui peuvent pas,
The warp engines of their day, apparently.
soigner. Ah non, j'ai pas eu le temps d'utiliser.
Last time I saw you, it was graduation from the academy. You'd already secured one of the most prestigious assignments possible. And you were burning with enough ambition to fuel 7 trips around the Necrid Expanse.
It's good to see you again, Captain.
I could not be happier to have you on the Resolute. My only regret is that we couldn't provide you with a warmer welcome. The arrival of a first officer to her new ship deserves a bit of fanfare. But, unfortunately, we've had our hands full with the refit.
You can spare me the pomp and circumstance. There's plenty of work to be done without all that.
You always had a work ethic like nothing I'd ever seen. That's just what this ship needs at the moment. As I'm sure you've heard, we've had a rough go of it these last 6 months. The ship suffered some damage, but not nearly as much as the crew.
I heard that you had an equipment malfunction.
Is that what they're calling it? No, that's just someone being generous. If anything, it was a leadership malfunction. We were on the verge of a major scientific breakthrough. A quantum leap forward in warp core technology. 10,000 teradynes per second. The ability to travel at a sustained rate of speed longer and faster than we ever dreamed. What would have been the crowning achievement of my career. Right there. Within our grasp. Until it all went so horribly wrong. We pushed her too hard, and a warp core malfunction overloaded the system, creating a pressure gradient way beyond what the ship can handle. It was heartbreaking. We lost some of our best people. As captain, I have to take full responsibility. It was my decision to make, and I have to live with the consequences.
We all know the risks when we sign up. There are no guarantees. As much as we tell ourselves otherwise.
True. But as captain, my job is to mitigate and manage the risks as much as possible. And that's where I failed. In my defense, I will say, I might have avoided the whole ordeal if my senior staff had been willing to trust me. There was a lot of pushback from my former XO, and I think that cost me his confidence. I don't want you to pull any punches. Certainly not on my account. But once we decide on a course of action, I need everyone to fully commit to the mission. Anything short of that just won't work. And that's when things start to go sideways.
This is your ship, and you are the captain. So as far as I'm concerned, whatever you say, goes.
That's the kind of support I'm looking for. Look, I'll be blunt. We can't afford another mistake. Or at least, I can't. I feel like my career is hanging in the balance here. We need a win. Something to restore the crew's confidence.
I understand.
On a more positive note, Starfleet has tasked us with what they're calling a mission of the highest priority. Escorting a senior diplomat to Hotari space.
Classique.
Two previously peaceful and otherwise non-aggressive civilizations now find themselves on the brink of all-out war.
Classique.
So it's a peacekeeping mission.
I see it as a golden opportunity to not only prove what the Resolute and her crew are truly capable of, but also a mission for which we're uniquely qualified. This ionic storm. Our long-range sensors suggest it's several orders of magnitude stronger than anything on record.
Oh, j'espère qu'on va pas tomber sur des Q dans ce jeu.
And you'll never guess where it leads.
Hatari.
Exactly.
Okay.
Very nearly in the precise location where we're headed. Where I imagine the interference will be exponentially greater. But the diplomat will brief us on the details of the rendezvous.
Who is the senior diplomat we're escorting?
That I don't know. Starfleet hasn't said.
Oh.
But I don't want to get ahead of myself. I expect we'll have some rough sledding when we arrive, so I need you to prepare the crew for the worst. There's just one more thing I want to clarify up front. The metric that for me will be the ultimate measure of your success.
What is it?
If after serving as my first officer, you don't one day find yourself with a ship of your own, then I will consider it my personal failure. When that might happen is entirely up to you. But it goes without saying, you have my full support.
It's been a dream of mine since before I can remember. So I would be honored to become a captain someday.
As long as you're willing to do the work, you have my promise. I'll do everything in my power to see that it happens.
Thank you.
Come, let me introduce you to the crew.
Ok. Est-ce que je peux prendre un café maintenant ou pas? Je peux plus. Alors, attends, qu'est-ce que tu me dis? Par contre, je préviens, je vais pas rester jusqu'à la fin parce que je dois me réveiller tôt désormais. Alors, tu as déjà regardé les 100 la série télé? Et je crois que j'avais commencé et ça m'a gonflé, j'ai arrêté. Je crois que j'avais regardé la saison 1 et puis je sais plus, il y a un truc que j'ai pas aimé ou je sais pas, je trouvais ça peut-être un peu trop ado, je crois, un truc comme ça. Je sais plus, il y a un mais je crois que j'ai regardé les 100. J'ai commencé à regarder. Je vais pas rester longtemps. Je vais jouer encore un peu 2 heures. Oh merde, la caméra. J'ai touché sans faire gaffe. Je vais, comment ça s'appelle? Je vais jouer encore, je sais pas, peut-être jusqu'à 3 heures du matin et je m'arrêterai parce que moi aussi j'ai un rendez-vous demain et qui est pas à côté. Donc, donc voilà. Miranda n'a pas pu s'empêcher de ressentir une certaine chimie avec Carter après leur plaisanterie ludique lorsqu'elle est arrivée pour la première fois à bord du Resolute. D'accord. Le lieutenant-commandeur Chowak a trouvé Carter plutôt impertinent lorsqu'il Ked Silar et lui sont arrivés presque en retard dans l'ingénierie principale. Ok. A été encouragé par le respect. Ok. A fait bonne impression auprès du commandeur Urmot. Curieuse et reconnaissante, faisant preuve d'empathie envers... Ok, et lui? Merci Gérard d'avoir usé de son sens de l'humour pour apaiser sa nervosité lors du vol de la navette. Ok. Ah, mais... c'est chiant. De toute façon, je pense qu'on peut pas aller très très loin. Ouais. On va le suivre. Je sais pas où il allait là, je crois. Non. Voilà. Pub, 7 pubs? Oh! Ok. Que des pubs de 30 secondes. Bah attendez, on va attendre. On va attendre que les pubs... que les pubs reviennent, que les pubs s'arrêtent. Il y en a pour une petite minute. On va regarder un petit peu. Alors oui, mais du coup, non. S'accroupir, contrôle, tricorder, phaser, caméra, interagir. Mode de tricorder, ok. Pause, entrée. Ok. Navette. Ah, on peut contrôler la navette, d'accord. Le phaser. Le tricorder. Furtivité. Ok. Ok, exploration. Paramètres de base. D'accord. C'est bon. Alors oui, il y a eu des changements sur... Il y a eu des changements sur Twitch dernièrement, au niveau des pubs. Et maintenant, on peut les contrôler et on peut en mettre un certain nombre pendant un certain temps. Donc moi, j'ai choisi de mettre des pubs de 3 minutes, mais grâce à... Je crois que c'est 3 minutes de pub ou un truc comme ça. Donc ça vous en met plein. Mais, à côté de ça, pendant 1 heure, vous avez pas de pub. Sinon, la contrainte, c'était que toutes les 30 minutes, vous avez une période de pub, et ça, c'est chiant. Donc, si vous êtes sur PC, vous avez la possibilité de cliquer. En fait, il y a toujours la miniature en haut à droite qui se met pour les pubs. Vous avez possibilité de cliquer dessus et d'activer le son et de couper le son sur la pub. Donc, vous pouvez toujours entendre le stream, mais voilà, dès que ça disparaît, vous avez plus de son. Il faut remettre le son sur comment ça s'appelle, le lecteur principal. Mais il y a possibilité de quand même suivre le stream et ce que je dis pendant que les pubs tournent si vous êtes sur PC. Par contre, sur téléphone, vous êtes obligé de vous les subir, sauf si vous prenez un abonnement mensuel. Donc ça, c'est... Voilà. Mais j'ai préféré mettre une grosse période de pub et une bonne heure sans rien pour qu'on soit pas coupé sans arrêt. Parce que je trouve que c'est chiant des pubs toutes les 30 minutes, c'est relou. Donc voilà. Ah, et c'est chiant ça. Bref, on s'y remet.
Everyone, if I could have your attention for a moment. I'd like to introduce Commander Jara Rydek, our new first officer.
Waouh, super.
Some quick introductions. This is Lieutenant Handar, our helmsman, one of the best in the business.
One of?
What he lacks in humility, he more than makes up for in ability.
A pleasure to meet you, Commander.
Likewise.
Next, we have Commander Westbrook, our chief science
Voilà.
officer.
Scientifique, donc c'est bleu, donc ça va avec les médecins.
Commander Rydek, it is such an honor to meet you.
This is our tactical officer, Lieutenant Bedrosian, who's been looking forward to meeting you for about as long as I can remember.
I've been following your career for quite some time, and I look forward to learning as much as I can from you.
If anything, the honor is mine.
Well, I have to admit, one of the reasons I've followed your career is because you're part Kobliad, because of what you've overcome. Starfleet stands up for people who can't defend themselves, and you were one of those people once. But since then, you've done so much to protect others who need it. I really admire that. So, you've been something of an inspiration to me. Not that I've done anything close to what you've done, but you definitely set a standard to strive for.
You really do know a thing or two about me. I'm glad I could inspire you, but it's important to chart your own path.
Thanks. You can count on it.
Oula, le doublage n'était pas exactement le même.
And then, of course, you've already met Commander Ermont.
Ok, oui.
Please do everything you can to make Commander Rydek feel at home here. I'll be on the starbase. I have an urgent meeting with the starbase commander to get our authorization to get underway. If they drag their feet any longer, we won't make our rendezvous. The bridge is yours.
Ok, la passerelle est à nous. On va se balader, j'imagine. S'asseoir dans le fauteuil du capitaine une fois prêt. Ok. Est-ce qu'on peut se balader? On peut sortir. Examiner sur... Ok, d'accord.
Operations, staffing, supplies. There's a lot to keep track of on a starship. Good thing we have Commander Ermont.
Elle a pas bugué. Pas grave.
Tactical station. Hopefully, a diplomatic mission won't require we use our weapons much. But if it comes to that, we'll be ready.
Moi aussi, je n'ai pas non plus aimé les 100. Je te dis, je crois que j'ai vu de mémoire, j'ai vu l'épisode, la saison 1 ou la moitié de la saison 1. Et je me suis dit, mais c'était il y a longtemps.
The Resolute is a science vessel, primarily. Might explain Commander Westbrook's attitude.
Je crois que je me suis arrêté à la saison 1, j'ai pas été... Ou j'ai commencé la saison 2 et ça m'a gonflé. Je me rappelle plus. J'ai cru que c'était un plot. Ah, j'ai pas le droit de regarder? Ok, d'accord. Généralement, c'est la radio, ça.
So many decks, full of crew that are now my responsibility.
Vous me voyez là? La fille, elle a 30 cm de l'écran. Ah, il y a tellement de decks. Ah ouais, il y a tellement de passerelles. Putain. Ah, qu'est-ce que je vois bien sur mon tableau. Alors, attends, là c'est bleu. Ensuite, c'est bleu. Ensuite, c'est jaune. Bleu. Pardon. Ah, c'est ici les communications. C'était à droite, c'était pas à gauche.
Keeps us in contact internally and with other
Je
vessels.
crois que c'est toujours à droite les coms. D'ailleurs. Alors, eux, c'est les pilotes, normalement. Ouais, ah bah.
The helm. The Resolute is a refitted Centaur class, meaning it's capable of quick maneuvers. Can't wait to see what she can do.
Oh là, il y a eu un petit bug graphique. Ok, je crois que j'ai vu tout le monde. Je l'ai vu, lui? Ouais, je l'ai vu. Ouais, lui, c'est le son. Lui, il capte les trucs sonores qui sont un peu bizarres dans l'univers. Là-bas, c'est la radio, donc c'est tout ce qui est communication. Elle, c'est l'artillerie. Lui, c'est le stuff en général, les problèmes du système et tout ça, il le saura. Et eux, c'est les pilotes. Elle, par contre, je sais pas ce que c'est. Ça doit être l'intégrité du vaisseau, je pense.
Commander, Chief Engineer Chovak needs to lower the structural integrity field. He's sent a crew out to recalibrate the emitters in response to the danger posed by the storm.
Okay.
We just need your go-ahead.
Permission granted.
Lowering structural integrity field, now.
Entering maintenance mode. Condition blue.
Alors je sais pas s'ils le font, mais normalement on peut parler à l'ordinateur. Généralement les mecs ils font ordinateur, qu'est-ce que tu veux, blablabla. Et puis l'ordinateur te répond. Mais c'est un peu l'équivalent de Siri qui a été inventé un peu par Star Trek il y a des années quoi. Mais Star Trek vraiment haute voix, tu parles à l'ordinateur et l'ordinateur te répond. Je sais pas s'il y aura ça.
When I joined Starfleet, all I wanted was a ride out of town. But this is
Après je crois que de mémoire que c'était que dans le... que sur le pont que ça le faisait.
Sometimes it feels like we're just part of the machinery. Don't you want more than that? I mean, Starfleet is noble and all, but it's still a machine. A massive, massive machine.
I am more than that. And so are you. You wanted to get away. I enlisted because I didn't want to wait years just to get out and see the galaxy. I wanted to go somewhere. See new worlds. Look up at a sky no one's ever seen before. Just because I'm cranking a hyperspanner up in a Jeffries tube today doesn't mean that's all I'll ever be. Diaz to Commander Chovak. We are at the SIF emitter.
Acknowledged. You may proceed with the recalibration.
Ok. Vraiment, c'est que du QTE. Hein. Bon, c'est pas bien grave. Alors, outil de recalibrage.
Beginning recalibration.
Oula.
Careful. Too much action and harmonics will deflect the alignment.
Attends, qu'est-ce que je dois faire là?
Light touch.
Attends, qu'est-ce que... Déplacer, régler le module. Ah là, ça veut bien marcher. Oh là là, d'accord, ok. D'accord, j'avais pas compris. Voilà. Ah, c'est bon.
Looks good. That wasn't so hard.
Ouais, c'était pas terrible hein, quand même. Hein. C'est quoi ce bouton rouge?
Commander Westbrook, right? Chief Science Officer.
You remembered my name and my rank. Impressive.
Enfin, ton rang, c'est facile, t'as 3 boutons sur le callback.
Yes, I'm the chief science officer, and I have the dubious honor of being the most senior officer on this bridge. I know this ship inside and out. Better than just about anyone.
What a very impressive list of credentials.
This is a research and discovery ship, first and foremost. Now with a former tactical officer as its new first officer. I'm curious, though. A Kobliad, or half in your case, is an odd choice for first officer, given your vulnerable condition and all. But if, as an example, we found ourselves in a hostile situation, and you were suddenly incapacitated because you needed an infusion, what would happen then?
Oula.
You'd leave Captain Solano without an XO. Granted, that would be a worst-case scenario, but not outside the realm of possibility.
In my entire career, it's never been an issue, or caused the slightest problem. And I don't expect this to be any different.
I was just curious, that's all. Listen, can I be blunt, Commander?
I see no reason to stop now.
Commander Sutherland, your predecessor, was one of the best first officers in all of Starfleet. His record was impeccable and his reputation was without equal. I mean no disrespect, but the shoes you're stepping into are almost impossible to fill. He was loved by the crew, and he was one of my closest friends. So I can only hope that you'll live up to expectations.
Hey, we just met. You might like me after you get to know me.
Qu'est-ce que tu me mets? J'ai cru qu'elle lui avait enlevé son oxygène. Attends. Je pense que je vais aller me coucher et demain je ne serai pas là non plus. Il n'y a pas de souci. Bonne soirée à toi, Knilehead. Moi demain je sais pas si je pourrai live. Ça va dépendre de plusieurs facteurs. Donc on va voir. Normalement oui, mais pas sûr. Donc on verra. Donc dans tous les cas, très bonne nuit à toi. Et puis à la semaine prochaine du coup. Ou avant, parce que je sais pas... Ah non, dimanche, je ne pourrai pas live, ça c'est sûr. Et samedi, maintenant, c'est mort, je ne peux plus live. Ok, bah, bonne soirée, bonne nuit. Si tu restes en lurk simplement pour la vue, c'est sympa. Si tu peux pas, bah, c'est pas grave. Bonne nuit à toi, merci d'être passé dans tous les cas, salut. Ouais, ça a l'air d'être vraiment comme un film, donc c'est vraiment très tranquille ce jeu. Et j'en ai un autre, c'est du QTE et un peu dans le même genre. C'est du Telltale Game, donc on va voir. Je vais peut-être alterner, je vais peut-être pas faire le Telltale Game juste après celui-ci, parce que sinon ça va faire beaucoup.
They say familiarity breeds contempt, but who knows? Seeing as Captain Solano is on the starbase, let me give you an update on this ion storm we're flying into. It's unusual, unlike anything I've ever seen. At the moment, I can't tell you if the Resolute will shrug it off or if we're putting ourselves at risk. However, if we learn more about its patterns, its nature, we can come up with a scientific countermeasure. Just a moment.
Oula. Allez, ça commence à partir en vrille. Ah. Oh oh.
We've got a massive energy wave inbound.
On screen.
Tracing its trajectory.
Starbase docking clamps are holding.
The storm's emissions are fluctuating, coming in waves. And if my projections are right, we're about to get hit by a wide-band burst of ionic energy, like a tsunami.
I'm reading power abnormalities all over.
Red alert!
Aye. Evacuating main gangway and retracting.
Putting sensor visualization on screen.
With the structural integrity field shut down, we can't take a direct hit.
Time to impact. 1 minute.
Shield systems are severely impacted. We have limited protection.
I need every available solution. What are our options?
We can weaken the impact of the storm with a deflector pulse.
There's a better way.
I'm sending all auxiliary power to the deflector dish.
Send the aux power to the shields. We can't reactivate the entire shield bubble, but it's a directional threat. So we can orient all we have towards the wave. You have to believe me.
We only get one shot at this. We can't afford to get it wrong.
That's right, which is why we need to send power to our shields.
Je pense que c'est mieux d'envoyer.
Get those shields up.
Rerouting power to shields. Stand by. I need a heading. We've only got one shot.
Understood. On my command.
Heading locked.
Raise shields.
This is it!
All hands, brace for impact.
J'ai préféré les boucliers parce que les autres ils étaient sur le. Ils étaient sur la carlingue du vaisseau. Oh, on va se retrouver téléporté à l'autre bout de l'univers, non? Oh putain.
Oh, you don't say.
This radiation supercharged the plasma, forcing it to backflush through the system and creating a dangerous imbalance.
Blow out every primary system on the ship.
Just tell us where you need us.
I need you to traverse the hull to the access port to recalibrate the port nacelle plasma regulator.
We've reached the first access point.
Understood. Do you see the override for the level 1 failsafe circuits?
Affirmative.
Engage the override. It should allow us to stop the EPS flow to the warp engine without triggering an automatic core shutdown.
J'aime bien la musique. Tout va bien, la 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 la.
Failsafe override engaged.
Are you sure? I am registering some crosstalk in the bypass circuit.
We need to route the signals so they don't interfere with each other.
La musique va pas trop à la situation, je trouve. Je pense qu'il y avait moyen de faire mieux. Ouais,
DS to
danger.
Resolute. The failsafes are temporarily disabled. Moving on to the EPS regulator.
Heads up, Carter.
What is that?
One of the discharges coalesced.
It's coming right toward us. I'm gonna try to disrupt it with my phaser.
So we gotta climb up the pylon. Not that there's really an up, but, you know.
Ah, c'est pas trop compliqué. Oh là! Ouh!
Are you alright?
Yeah. Still took most of it. Snuck up
J'ai
on
dû
me.
m'en prendre un qui est apparu.
Energy dampening is down to 60%.
Oula, putain, ça pop vite, hein.
We're almost to the regulator.
We're at the regulator point. Opening the access panel.
And now halting the EPS flow to the port nacelle. We have little time before it causes an overload in the engine. You must work efficiently.
adjusters reset to neutral.
Alors, attends. Voilà.
The EPS lines to the port warp engine are back in balance. Almost done. Once I cycle the manifold nozzles, Chovok can...
Oula. Ah. Ok. Je comprends pas bien. Oula.
Get down! DS to bridge. We just lost the docking clamp. We've got a lot of debris coming down. Hull vibrations, too. We can't finish the EPS regulation in these conditions. Please advise.
We have to release the ship from that other docking clamp or the hull will be ripped apart.
There's a problem. The clamps are supposed to disengage automatically in an emergency, but it's not working.
Not working.
What are our options?
The docking clamps are fitted with exploding bolts for an emergency release.
We've got crew out there. That'd be like setting off a bomb next to them.
Maybe there's another way.
Starbase is hailing us.
Put him through.
Resolute, the remaining mooring arm is failing. You need to disengage from the starbase now. The damage to the station will be catastrophic.
The docking clamp isn't functioning. We're exploring our options.
The option is to detonate the emergency release.
Commander, hear me out. Reverse the polarity of the hull, which theoretically will repel the docking
La
clamps.
Propel
polarité.
the engineering crew right off the hull into the storm.
This is Captain Solano. Put me on screen.
Go ahead. Captain, we have a situation.
Commander, what are you doing? Blow the bolts on the docking clamp.
The captain doesn't know the whole story.
I'm giving you an order. Chara?
Captain, you brought me here because you trusted me. Can you trust me now?
You better be sure you make the right decision.
The captain made himself quite clear.
They're gonna get hammered with debris out there. Reverse the polarity.
There is protocol.
And there are lives.
Starbase, stand by. We're gonna flip hull polarity to disengage the clamps.
Yes, Commander.
Voilà, je me suis mis à dos le commandant, alors que je lui ai dit que je soutenais.
Repair crew, this is acting Captain Jara Rydek. Be advised, we are going to reverse hull polarity to free us from the remaining docking clamp. Tether yourself and deactivate your boots on my mark.
Understood.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Mark!
Tu vois, ça fonctionne. Oula.
Grab my hand! I got you.
Thank you.
Plasma imbalance is reaching critical condition. We are moments from primary system failure.
I got it.
Allez. Ouais, à deux, on est plus fort. que c'est que ce truc? C'est le même truc que tout à l'heure. Oh! Reviens.
I got you. Petty Officer Etzelar's hurt and unconscious. I'm gonna have to tow her back to the airlock.
Mr. Diaz, the situation has changed. You are at risk of triggering a substantial electromagnetic arc if you approach the main hull the way you came.
But Commander, the way we came is the nearest airlock.
There is an auxiliary hatch near you on the far end of the pylon. You must bring Miss Etzelar there to access the interior.
Ok.
Roger that. Going there now.
Ok, faut faire gaffe. Je sais pas si je peux vraiment les...
I'm at the auxiliary hatch.
Allez, barrez-vous, parce qu'il y a quand même pas mal de débris là, les gens. Hein. Et surtout, restez debout. Hein.
You go first.
What?
Let me save your neck this time. No time to fight me on this.
Not on your life.
Let's not let it come down to that.
C'est bon, tu viens de te faire frapper. Aïe.
We made it.
They're safe, bringing the SIF fully online.
Do it.
Nilly.
I'm good. Help me with him.
Let's get this off.
Oh, bah ça
Medical.
fera...
Got one wounded at my location. Carter. You don't look so good.
Il va avoir une jolie...
Gotta be more careful.
Une jolie
I just
cicatrice.
got here. I'm not ready to see you two get blown to space dust just yet. Now let's get you down to sickbay.
Great.
Par contre, il n'y a pas beaucoup de lumière là.
Status report.
The repair crew made it inside. EPS flow is back to nominal levels. The SIF is back up.
How does this affect mission readiness, Mr. Ermot?
Releasing the docking clamps using hull polarity minimized damage to the Resolute. We'll have some last-minute repairs to make, but if we reapportion some of the staff, we can make our departure on time. As of now, however, we are successfully moored to the station.
Good to hear. Send updates to my ready room. Commander Rydek, with me.
Je t'avais dit de faire sauter les crampons. J'espère qu'il va pas rester là-dessus.
You disobeyed my orders. Well?
I'm sorry for that, Captain. I did what I thought was...
You disobeyed my orders! And not just in front of the bridge crew, but the Starbase staff as well. That's going to get around. My name's already tarnished around the fleet. But what is it going to do to my credibility on this ship? From the top to the bottom. Bridge to lower decks.
Maybe I shouldn't have disobeyed a direct order, but you were wrong. You weren't on board, and you didn't have all the information. So I made the right decision for the ship. If you're worried about your credibility, put your ego aside and trust your crew. Trust me.
You might have won some fans on the bridge with that stunt, but not everyone. Lieutenant Commander Chovak has already bent my ear.
I'm sure he doesn't take it personally. He'll get over it in time.
Mr. Chovak is more complicated than he would want to admit. I guess we all are. And, if I'm being honest, I'm not sure what I would have done in the moment either. You never really know if you weren't in those shoes. So, let's just boil it down to, you did what you had to. That'll have to be good enough for me.
Am I dismissed, sir?
Dismissed? We have work to do. Despite it all, we got our final Starfleet clearance to depart. So if you'll fetch Mr. Ermot, we'll knock out the final details of any outstanding repairs, and then we'll set out for Hotari.
Yes, sir. All departments reporting full mission readiness. We've got our full complement on board.
This is my favorite moment, right now.
The start of a new mission is always full of possibility.
The Orion Syndicate could sell it as a drug.
Don't let the Admiralty hear you say that.
Captain on the bridge.
Sit. Sit, everyone. You all know, I'm not big on speeches. We're embarking on the first mission since our refit. Let's make it a good one. Disengage docking clamps.
Bon, cette fois-ci, ça fonctionne.
Docking clamps released.
Thrusters ahead, Mr. Handar. Should do it. Set a course for the Hotari system. Prepare to go to Warp 8.
Aye, Captain.
You know what? You take this one.
Me? Engage.
Simple, but effective.
Easy.
Thank you. I'm fine. Really,
You don't look so good.
Oula. Oui.
I have to get to sickbay.
Go.
Oula.
Commander, help me get her inside.
Well,
That was quite a scare. A few minutes more and it would have been one of the shortest tenures on record for a first officer.
Is that the engineer that was out on the hull?
That storm did a real number on him, but he'll live. Just needs rest. You should worry about yourself. Your deridium levels got dangerously low and destabilized your cell structure.
This is definitely one of the more memorable first days I can think of.
My name is Dr. Aram Duval, Chief Medical Officer. To be honest, I've never met a Kobliad before. You're...
rare. I know.
I was going to say special. Your people's numbers have dwindled, despite the Federation's efforts to find a more readily available alternative to the deridium you need to survive. Yet you joined Starfleet, and managed to thrive. I imagine the responsibility must be overwhelming. Maybe even a burden at times.
It does make me unique, but it's not a burden at all. I'm honored to be Kobliad, to represent my people.
As you should be. And don't worry, I won't treat you like a science experiment. I just do the science and leave the experiments to Solano.
You don't agree with his methods?
I don't agree with his definition of acceptable risks. Not when the lives of your crew are at stake. My professional opinion is that the accident took a toll. More than he's willing to admit. He's overstressed, operating in the pressure cooker of his own mind. Which is never a good headspace when the lives of your crew are at stake. What concerns me is that now he's even further away from the thing he's been chasing his entire career. Breakthrough discovery. The major innovation. Something he can put his name on. But the more the time passes and the further out of reach it gets, the more risk he'll be willing to take.
I hear you. But that's my job, isn't it? To make sure that doesn't happen. And we don't lose sight of the bigger picture.
Which is exactly why I'm so glad you're here. We need you now more than ever. And I have to give you credit for what happened on the bridge. It took guts to defy a direct order.
Huh. I guess word travels fast around here.
It's a small ship. And everyone's curious about the new XO. Fortunately, your cell structure's almost completely stabilized. And I'll spare us both the lecture, but I do feel it's my responsibility to remind you, without regular infusions of deridium, you will not live. It's as simple as that.
Understood.
Then, my work here is done.
Lieutenant Bedrosian.
I came to see if you were okay. We were all pretty worried on the bridge. No one knew what was happening.
I don't want anyone to worry. This is just part of who I am. It doesn't define me.
Of course. I completely understand. And I would probably feel the same way if I were you. You trusted me earlier with the shields, and I appreciated that. I want you to know that I have your back.
Thank you.
Alors.
Now, Carter, the emissions that gave you that burn are quite unusual, like everything else that goes with this storm. That's a combination of hyronolin and lectrazine to counter the radiation effects. That should help speed your healing. She's come by a couple of times to see you already. Be brief.
It's good to see you awake again. I was starting to get worried. Not that you aren't in good hands with Dr. Duval. You did take one hell of a shot, though.
Ah, come on. You know you can't get rid of me that easy.
Don't push me, Diaz. You do not want to see me try.
No, nope. I am not getting on your bad side.
I am a formidable enemy. Millie was looking in on you too, by the way. But since it's just us right now, I had a chance to think about this while I was away. And I thought it was important that I just come out and tell you. Instead of tiptoeing around it. Or worse, leaving it unsaid.
Wait, are you angry at me or something?
Oh, No, not that. I'm sorry. I'm probably making too big of a deal here. What I'm trying to say is, we've been really good friends for a long time. But I got back here and I couldn't ignore it anymore. I want to see if there's more between us.
Je vais faire le mec qui comprend rien.
Than
Bon, je fais ça.
just being friends. Carter?
Are you sure about this?
They're my feelings. Of course I'm sure.
Well, I just mean, seeing me in here, after we almost got killed out on the hull.
I felt this way before that, Carter. I like you. And I think there could be something more for us. So, what do you say?
That's a lot to think about.
I know it is.
So, maybe I should think it over.
Oh, yeah, take as long as you need.
Elle a un regard. Ce personnage a un regard de déchiré.
Don't leave me hanging.
Sorry to interrupt, but the patient needs to rest if he wants to get back to his old self.
Of course. Get better. And while you're resting up, think about what we talked about.
Je sais pas, moi je préfère l'autre en fait. Même si elle a un parasite dans le corps et 5 ou 6 personnalités différentes. Parce que oui, dans le lore de StarTrek, la fille qui a des genres de tatouages... c'est pas des tatouages d'ailleurs. C'est une caractéristique... Oula, une caractéristique de l'espèce dont j'ai oublié le nom. Mais elle a un parasite normalement dans le corps. Et a plusieurs mémoires en elle.
Aye, Captain. Let's reduce the noise. Filter out environmental signals. I can manually tune what's left for Federation signal types.
Ok.
I've located the shuttle.
Opening comms.
On screen.
Oh.
Shuttle to Resolute. Shuttle to Resolute. Debris field. Lost maneuvering.
Hihi.
Losing.
I can't get it any clearer.
Va falloir la téléporter.
We won't get a transporter lock. It's
Ah,
just
bah
not happening. Power up the tractor beam. We'll pull them directly into the docking bay.
On va prendre le rayon tracteur. Il y a des soldes en ce moment apparemment.
Diaz, you good to run the tractor emitter?
Yes, sir.
You sure?
I'm sure.
Come on, Diaz.
Alors...
First thing, lock onto the shuttle and stabilize the rotation. We're pulling in debris.
I'm on it.
D'accord, faut vraiment... Allez.
That's gonna take out the shuttle. Diaz, the bridge. There's a large piece of debris headed for the shuttle. The tractor beam can't handle it.
Can our shields take it?
I believe so.
Commander Ryder, plot an intercept course.
On it.
Here we go. Maneuvering thrusters bearing 53 Mark 17, 200 meters on an intercept course.
Maneuvering.
Je suis pas bien sûr d'avoir compris ce que je viens de faire. Ok, maintenant j'ai compris ce que je viens de faire.
Whoa! Someone's working hard on the bridge. The shuttlecraft on board.
Good job. We're on our way down to meet them.
Oula, ça va être quelqu'un qui connaît. Ah non.
Terra firma, so to speak.
Oh,
Ambassador Spock.
c'est bien ce qui me semblait. C'est vraiment lui.
The captain will be right down to meet you, sir.
In that case, I will wait for him here.
Je crois qu'il a bugué le personnage.
Apologies for the landing, Ambassador. I was operating the tractor beam, sir. I take responsibility.
Our arrival was the smoothest part of our journey. Your artistry with the tractor beam is commendable. We thought we were prepared for our arrival in Hotari space, but it is evident my craft was not sufficiently robust for such intense ionic activity.
The storm has been pretty intense.
There was an element that was most unusual. Before you came to our aid, our maneuvering thrusters and impulse engines were rendered inoperable. So we attempted a short traversal at warp speed, only to find that we could not achieve warp at all, even though our diagnostics computer showed no faults or anomalies. What do you make of that? When all indications say that warp speed is possible, but in practice, we find it is not.
I'd rather investigate than speculate.
A sound principle.
Ouais.
Take readings, run some additional diagnostic checks, and we'll get to the bottom of this.
Quite logical, Petty Officer...
Carter Diaz. Sir.
Thank you.
Ambassador Spock.
Excuse me.
I'm honored to have you aboard. I'd like to get right to it. We're already behind. Ambassador Spock, my senior staff. It's not every day that a captain gets to welcome a Starfleet legend aboard.
You flatter me, Captain Solano. But legend implies the past tense, whereas I am very much focused on our present circumstances.
I didn't mean to suggest you were stuck in the past. You're right, Ambassador. Not the most diplomatic choice of words.
Your experience comes from the past. But our present situation calls for it.
True enough.
We were hoping you could fill us in on the details. We got the basics from Starfleet. Two formerly peaceful neighbors are now on the brink of war.
Indeed, and the tension between them grows fiercer by the hour. Lydia and Hotari. The Lydians are the more advanced species. They made first contact with the Hotari over a century ago. This is Tau, the Hotari moon. It is rich in dilithium, and for decades, the Hotari and the Illydians have shared a mining operation there. The Illydians provide the technological resources, while the Hotari have served as the labor force. The stability of that arrangement was the source of their peace, until recently. The Hotari have suddenly and forcefully seized control of the mining operations and expelled the Illidians from their system. That is the official story, as told by the Hotari when they requested Federation mediation. But the details remain scant. Communications between all parties have been limited by the ionic interference.
How is it the Hotari were able to turn the tables and take the mines against superior forces, especially after decades in this arrangement?
Unclear. The answer to that question may be the key to a new, lasting peace, and one that I hope we can uncover during these negotiations. But it is unlikely the relatively primitive Hotari forces would stand a chance against the Illidian fleet if this escalates to open war. Left unchecked, this conflict will result in more bloodshed, which is what we are here to prevent.
And the dilithium trade hangs in the balance.
Clearly, the Hotari have been exploited in this relationship.
Maybe we can persuade them peace is the more profitable alternative for everyone. They both profited from the mines. And for the Hotari, something is better than nothing. Peace is our objective, after all.
That is correct.
We can call it profitable or mutually beneficial, but at the end of the day, the Hotari are still being exploited for their own resources.
True peace is not merely the absence of war. And as such, this conflict will surely come again.
Neither the Illidians or the Hotari are members of the Federation, so we can't make them do anything.
There is an additional complicating factor I should mention. In the past, the Federation has relied on the Illidians as a source of dilithium.
That certainly changes things.
The Federation sources its dilithium from a lot of places.
Yeah, and this is one of them.
So we've already played a part in this.
Unfortunately, that is indeed the case, Commander Rydek.
We're morally obligated to make this right.
Hold on. Our only obligation is to negotiate the peaceful resolution of this conflict.
Given the Federation's involvement in the Illidium dilithium trade, Captain Solano and I must make every effort to appear neutral in these negotiations.
What worries me is if this whole thing unravels, and we're at the mercy of the storm at less than full strength.
We can't let it come to that.
Considering what the Ion Storm has done to our ship, and the Ambassador's shuttle, we have to assume the Illidian fleet has had problems with it as well. This recent surge in the energy disturbance temporarily levels the playing field.
Commander Westbrook is correct. The energy anomalies around the Hotari systems have been noted in the past. But they have never been observed on the orders of magnitude we have seen in recent weeks.
That may answer why the Hotari were able to strike back after so long. They finally had an opportunity, and they took it.
That would also explain the Illidians' restraint.
And reason to learn as much about the energy anomaly as we can while we are here. We do not want to be caught at a disadvantage of our own. So I trust we understand our circumstances.
We're operating on a strict timetable here, and we're going to be leaving for the negotiations shortly. Commander Westbrook, I want you to leverage our systems to investigate the anomaly from here while we're gone.
Aye, Captain.
Thank you all.
Dismissed.
I want to speak to both of you privately.
Ambassador Spock, I'd like to make a formal introduction. My first officer, Commander Jara Rydek.
Commander, as you are aware, there are limits to what Captain Solano and I can do in our official capacity as representatives of the Federation. But someone in an unofficial capacity, your first officer for example, would not be bound by those restrictions. Commander Rydek could ingratiate herself to certain parties behind the scenes. where they may be more candid in revealing information that could lead to a resolution.
She certainly goes her own way. Maybe that helps in this case. It would be unconventional, but I'm not opposed to it.
I'm honored to be included in the negotiation process.
You're not just included, you're instrumental.
Well, I hope Commander Rydek will have more luck finding out what really happened than we will through official diplomatic channels.
The fate of the negotiations, the interests of the Federation, and the prospect for peace may very well depend on it.
Okay.
Mr. Diaz, I understand you have already discussed the warp drive failure with Ambassador Spock?
I have.
It is imperative that the Ambassador's shuttle be flight ready. I need you both to ascertain the root cause of the system failures he encountered.
I'm surprised, Commander. I thought you would have wanted to work on Ambassador Spock's shuttle yourself.
I respect the Ambassador and his many accomplishments, but I do not derive any satisfaction from interacting with his shuttle as if it were somehow transubstantiated through its association with him. Especially when I have the entirety of this starship to concern myself with. I am not the chief engineer of this shuttlecraft.
When you look at it logically, yes, it is just a shuttle. No different than any of the others.
There is plenty that is different about it, and that is what you are to investigate. But please limit your findings to observable scientific phenomena.
We'll try to restrain ourselves.
Then I will leave you to it. Make note of any abnormalities in your report. Carry on.
It seems like he's warming up to us.
Yeah.
Even Chovok has to look at that face and know you've earned some real respect. And I have to admit that I owe you one. You were right to make me go first. I don't know what I was thinking.
You've pulled me out of trouble how many times? Call it even.
Okay. At the very least, maybe I can track down that bottle of Saurian brandy you're still on the hook for. But first, we have work to do.
Ready to go?
All set. Let's run the diagnostic.
Alors, pour le diagnostic.
So... I know about your talk with Miranda.
You do?
She sent me a Priority 1 dispatch right after your conversation.
Oh la vache.
Yes or no?
Déformation faciale.
But I can't believe you said you needed to think about it.
I did need to think about it.
Well, you can't leave this unsettled. It's not fair to her. She was direct with you. Didn't play games. Neither should you.
Oups, c'est pas ce que je voulais faire.
Well, honestly, I was worried you wouldn't approve of, you know, fraternization with...
Don't make this about me. You can see where this goes between you two, or you can stay friends. But don't screw this up. I like my friends, and I like our group. I don't want to lose that. Is that thing done?
Yeah, it's wrapping up. Let's see. The relays along the primary EPS are blown. The backup relays are all intact.
An EPS overload from the warp drive could cause that. But how did the shuttle end up dead in the water?
Huh. Well, maybe the ship's data recorder can tell us something. Here.
They were only about 8 minutes from their plotted warp point. No faults, just those warnings. What are they?
Subspace variance out of tolerance. What does that mean?
It means the main navigation array lost sight of space somehow.
Will the array going offline cause that?
Yes, but it should have also thrown a fault code.
The warp field became inverted suddenly.
I've seen this happen when the center warp coil cracks.
A cracked warp coil throws a fault code.
Still, we should take a look.
There was a complete warp cascade failure.
Wow. They're lucky the shuttle didn't turn inside out.
Makes me think the computer panicked on the warp field equation.
Any one of these failures should have thrown a fault.
If it was caused by a system failure.
None of this caused the relays to blow. Roll forward to when that happened.
Yes, ma'am.
So here, they take a moment to get their bearings and they attempt to re-engage the warp drive.
There. That's the relays blowing.
And look, there's another warp system alert.
They're all the same. Subspace variants out of tolerance, or warp inversions. Finally, there's a complete warp cascade failure.
Then it's one of two things. Either a warp coil is cracked, or the navigation array is offline.
That makes sense.
Divide and conquer. You want to check the warp coils or the navigation array? I'll check the other. Let's not overcomplicate this. One of these systems is likely broken.
Système de navigation.
I'll check the navigation array.
Ok. Lors d'un scan en profondeur, utilisez Q pour changer de mode de scan. La couleur maintenant. Ok. Oula, oula. Qu'est-ce qu'il me fait? Les capteurs spatiaux de la navette sont sensibles aux interférences.
Navigation array checks out, so it must be a coil.
Except it's not. Checked and double-checked.
Well, the readings don't lie.
Here comes the security detail for the way team. Hey, going planet side?
Yep, as soon as the negotiating team comes down from the bridge. And you've got your hands full, opening every compartment on this shuttle. I hope you're not just trying to keep busy to avoid thinking about some other things. I'm not trying to put you on the spot. And lucky for you, I've got a ride to catch.
Believe me, I've been thinking.
Don't think too hard about it. It shouldn't be that complicated to sort out.
Hey, Maris. Aren't these those button pushers you're always hanging out with?
And you're the phaser jockeys we always beat in Parisi squares, right?
All aboard for Hotari.
That another one of the captain's railroad things?
Gotta be. I just usually zone out by the time he gets to the whole, steam engines were the warp drives of their day part. Catch y'all later.
You don't want to miss your train.
I do have to go. So, you've had time to think. You have something you want to say to me? The train is leaving the station.
Hey, I've changed my mind. About us.
You have?
Yeah. I want to be more than friends.
Well, then I'll just see if I can move this whole negotiation along so I can get back here sooner. Then we can figure it out.
Varys!
Il y a combien de chances qu'elle se fasse buter dans le jeu?
Be seeing you.
Parce qu'il y a la possibilité de l'embrasser généralement. Généralement, c'est qu'il y a la possibilité qu'elle meure juste après. Ah, je suis en neutre avec elle.
Etzelar de Diaz. If you could float back down to reality, we still have a ways to go. All right, where were we?
So, the warp coils in the navigation array are fine, but the nav computer doesn't seem to think so.
I'm out of ideas short of field stripping the shuttle from bow to stern.
You wanna take this out of the shuttle and throw it on the bench?
Oh, real hands-on maintenance. I like it. Okay, the nav computer is patched into the ship.
The ship's computer can double-check our work. If the shuttle's nav computer is putting out false data, we'll know it.
Let's run through the shuttle's logs again.
Running now. Same. Warp field inversion and a cascade failure. However, the Resolute computer doesn't show the same subspace variance.
We're in the same conditions that the shuttle was in when it failed. Why wouldn't the ship's computer get a matching result?
What if the subspace variance was a momentary occurrence?
That's a possibility, and it would explain why the simulation under our current sensor readings failed to reproduce the issue.
But a subspace anomaly strong enough to cause a warp field collapse would leave graviton ripples for days.
Let's run with the momentary subspace variance theory for now. Roll forward to the shuttle's attempt to re-engage the warp drive. We need the conditions of space around the shuttle at the moment of warp failure.
Resuming simulation.
Error in warp field calculation. Cochrane formula variables are out of range.
That right there. Take the shuttle sensor data from that moment.
Computer, why did the warp field calculation fail?
Warp field pressure returned non-orthogonal. Results are undefined.
That doesn't help.
Wait, what if we use a different ship?
Put the Resolute into the simulation instead of the shuttle.
Yeah, it should warp just fine. Unless... Computer, run the simulation with the Resolute.
Resolute simulated.
Computer, give me manual control on the warp power.
Static field intensity, warp 1.1. 1.2. 0.3. Warp pressure is destabilizing. Error in warp field calculation. The warp drive has experienced a system-wide cascade failure. Warp field collapsed. Subspace variance is out of tolerance. Cochrane formula results are undefined.
Bingo.
What-o?
The same moment when the shuttle failed to warp, so did the ship. Whatever happened to the shuttle just happened to us. The Resolute will not sustain warp.
We can't leave Hotari space.
Et donc il y a un truc sur la planète ou dans les anneaux. Ouais, on va voir si j'ai descendu certaines données. On va voir ce que ça donne. Mais je pense que ça va pas le faire. Il y a un truc qui déconne.
Ambassador Spock, Captain Solano, welcome to Hotari. We are honored you've come. My name is Tylos Altaris, Minister of Diplomatic Affairs.
The honor is ours, and this is Commander Jara Rydick, first officer aboard the USS Resolute. You'll find she has a keen mind.
It's very nice to meet you.
Likewise. I hope...
These must be the representatives of the mighty Federation. The reigning authority in the galaxy. Or so we've been led to believe. Whether that's true or not remains to be seen. But, either way, We're grateful you've made the time to come to our little corner of the universe.
And you are?
This is Galvin, and this is Citron, the heroes of the revolt in the mines.
Ok. Bon.
Let's hope this is the last time we ever have to come here.
If you'll excuse me.
I think we're about to begin.
Did you hear the arrogance from that guy? I don't know what we're walking into here. But that guy was something.
That may be true. But let's keep an open mind going into the negotiations. Hopefully he's just one voice amongst many.
Then let's hope he's the outlier.
The Hotari have invited us as their guests, so we must show them the proper respect.
Non, je viens de comprendre. Je viens de comprendre. C'est la lumière. Je crois que la lumière fait déconner, ça doit prendre de la ressource. Pour une raison qui m'échappe, on va baisser la qualité graphique. On va la baisser un tout petit peu, on va se mettre en élevé. On remontera après. Mais je pense que c'est ça. C'est ça. Je suis en maximum et en fait le processeur y arrive pas. Je crois que j'ai compris. Ça a l'air d'être fiable. Alors, on va juste faire ça parce que comme j'ai bidouillé la caméra, je suis plus grande. J'aimerais bien finir juste un... Enfin, je suis plus grande. Je suis trop grande. Oula. Je sais pas ce que... Merde. CTRL Z. Non, CTRL Z. Je sais pas ce que j'ai bougé. J'ai bougé un truc là. Je sais pas ce que c'est ça. Un truc en arrière-plan qui bouge. Quoi qui bouge? Je sais pas. Mais il y a un truc qui bouge. On va verrouiller tout ce bordel. Attendez, je verrouille tout parce que... Caméra. Voilà. On va bouger un tout petit peu la caméra parce que justement, il y avait des sous-titres et on ne voyait pas forcément les sous-titres. Voilà, donc là, ça devrait le faire mieux. Et on s'y remet. Ok.
Ambassador Spock, welcome to Holtari Prime.
The honor is mine, Your Majesty.
That the Federation would send one of their most respected representatives is not only an honor to the Hotari people and their queen, but a recognition of our stature and importance.
Let's get on with it, shall we? With all due respect to the Federation and their ambassador, they have no authority here. We are not members of their alliance. We are not subject to their rule, nor yours. We demand the immediate return of all mining operations to Elydian control, as it has been for centuries and will be for centuries more. That has always been our understanding.
That understanding has changed.
Then you invite war!
And if you cannot remain silent, you will be silenced. But his point is well taken. What is the Federation's interest in this matter? Perhaps you would have us trade one oppressor for another?
The Federation remains neutral. Our only interest is the peaceful resolution of this conflict. We are here at your request, Your Majesty.
For now.
I'm trying to keep an open mind here, but it's not easy.
Certes. Alors attends, parce que je verrai ce truc-là, ça va prendre un peu moins de ressources.
I thought they wanted us here.
Was there something you wanted to say, Captain?
Oh, no. My apologies.
And what about the Kobliad?
She's not
She can speak for herself, can't she? Then let her.
Alors.
Now then, what is your name?
Commander Jara Rydek, Your Majesty.
Being a Kobliad, you would know better than anyone. Your people suffered brutal treatment at the hands of the Cardassians. Their injustice towards the Kobliad is as unimaginable as it is unforgivable. Not unlike how we have been treated by the Alidians.
As much as they'd have you believe they are the victims here, remember it was the Hotari who attacked us. Hundreds of innocent Alidians were slaughtered without mercy in those mines.
The blood is on their hands, not ours.
Quiet! If after all the Kobliad suffered, you finally had the chance to right that wrong, to get out from under their control, would you take it? Or would you negotiate a peace?
Ah bah ça déconne, va savoir pourquoi.
There is no remedy for what the Kobliad suffered. And I fear who we might have become in pursuit of it. There is no justice if the oppressed become the oppressor. So I would willingly accept a peaceful resolution if it were offered. That is the real opportunity.
Perhaps, Commander Rydek. Perhaps. Unfortunately, that was not the case, was it?
No, it was not.
Peace is often elusive to those who need it most. The Federation is the most powerful, most advanced alliance in the galaxy. It's widely known we have an abundance of dilithium in our mines. And it's in your interest to secure a steady supply.
Your Majesty, if I may.
Ambassador Spock would have us believe you're here as a neutral party in the interest of peace. So why are you really here? I want the truth, not your Federation rhetoric.
I'm sorry, Your Majesty, but it's really not my place to say what the Federation's interests might be.
You are their representative.
I am. But Ambassador Spock is better suited to address your concerns.
What they haven't said, but cannot deny, is a simple truth.
Oula, j'ai
The
descendu aussi les
dilithium
autres.
trade would not and will no longer exist without Alidian involvement. We created it for the benefit of everyone, especially the Hotari. We've given them warp technology. We've let them share in the profits. We've made their lives infinitely better than before dilithium was discovered. All of that goes away if the Federation turns a blind eye to their treachery.
That is enough of your lies! The Hotari are quite capable of running the mines. We've done so for centuries. So tell me, who deserves control of the dilithium trade and the mines on Tau?
Oh la vache.
Who should the Federation recognize? The Hotari or the Alidians? Can only be one or the other, not both.
If I have to choose only one, then it would have to be the Hotari.
Well said. How could the just and wise Federation make any other choice?
This is an outrage. The Federation has lost all credibility.
The mines are ours. Lydia will not be deterred. We will take back our mines by any means necessary.
Then you will see more blood spilled.
I am more than willing to address your concerns, Your Majesty. Yours as well, Representative. But I suggest we could have a more productive conversation with a smaller group. Perhaps only the most essential representatives.
I suppose there is some sense to that. I hope we meet again, Jara Ryder.
Est-ce que la caméra remarche? Elle a l'air.
Spock and I will cover everything on the diplomatic front. You make nice with the locals and see if you can get some answers. We need to find out why the Hotari are so willing to risk war. What happened in those mines?